Hi, my name is Lydia, and for my Comtech summative, I'll be showing you how to create this lovely photo manipulation of an outdoor fantasy scene using Photoshop. The first thing you have to keep in mind when making a photo manipulation is where your stock images are coming from. The tutorial that I used actually gave me links to the resources. Here's an example of them. So I have my model and I have settings. This photo of the trees didn't actually work out, and this is a replicant that I found. However, it wasn't exactly the same and did create problems. So the way I do the setting is going to be a little bit different than the actual online tutorial, but I'll get to that when we start making the background. So let's get a move on. The first thing you got to do to create this lovely scene is get your model. Your model is this photograph. So as you can see, we have this lovely model in this pond. However, when we create our actual final image, the only part of the pond that's missing is this background. So we have to get rid of it. And to get rid of that, we're going to use our lasso. You can use any of the lassos. I prefer the magnetic lasso. It's just a lot easier to work with. But before we do that, we have to duplicate our background. You can do that by hitting Ctrl-J, right-clicking, and hitting Duplicate Layer, or clicking down and dragging the image to the New Layer button, and it'll make you a background copy. We'll hide the original so that we don't damage it, and we'll work selected on this background copy. So we'll take our lasso, and what you're going to do is start at the edge and slowly work your way over the rocks. Now I'm going to do this really quickly, so it's going to be messy, but make sure when you do it you're extremely careful, because we don't want to lose important parts of the image, and we don't want it to be sloppy. We want to make this as realistic as possible. So once you've done this, and you've selected it, you'll get this marching ants line, and that'll show that this is the selected area. You're going to want to hit delete. And when you delete the background, hopefully you will not be chopping off part of the model's head, and you'll get all of the area that you need. So once you've selected all that, you have the cutout of your model. So I'll show you what you have to do. What you're going to do is, once you've selected it, you'll hit Control D, and once you hit Control D, it will be deselected. And you're going to want to drag this part of the image into a new file. This new file will have to be a preset of custom, a width of 1151, a height of 1110, resolution of 72, color mode RGB, not grayscale, and background contents of transparent. Everything else is good, and then we'll hit OK. However, I've already done this, so we'll just skip to my version of the tutorial. As you can see here, I've divided my layers into different groups. This just helps keep it organized. It would be smart if you did this as well, because then you'll be able to make sure you know where everything is. So if we open this file, we'll see my model, and we'll get rid of this so it's here. So I've dragged her in and I've scaled it, and she now fits nicely into the bottom part of the frame. We're going to have to do a saturation fix, which I've already done, but I'll show you how to do on the original. So, sorry, this is bothering me. I'm just going to delete, erase. So what we're going to do is add an adjustment layer. So we'll click here, and it's going to be hue and saturation. And we're going to drag the saturation on the model down to -59. Oops. Negative 59. And this will make her a little bit darker. So you'll see that that's been done, and she's a little bit darker. So now that you've done this, she's ready to go, and we can start with the background. So we'll just close. Now for the background. This is our background. The other photo I didn't use, so I'm going to be solely using this image. We're going to do the same as our model and copy it, hide the background copy, and then we're going to flip the image, because as you can see here, the waterfall is on this side. So to do that, we're going to go Image, Image Rotation, Flip Horizontally. Boom, done. And we're also going to add a bit of a Gaussian blur, because the details are very more precise than the picture of the model. So we're going to go Filter, Blur, Gaussian blur, and we're going to do it at 1% because we don't want to blur the image too much. And then the same with the model, you're going to drag this background copy into your new file. And then it'll look like this. So then you've got your model and your setting. So now we're going to go into our pond elements. So this pond, it's nice, but I feel like it could be a lot better. And the first thing that I noticed about it is that it's really gray. So I thought I'd fix that, and how I did that was like this. So as you can see, with this adjustment, the pond is a lot more realistic kind of looking. It's a lot more blue and less gray and yellow. But to do this, you have to make a gradient adjustment, and to make a gradient adjustment, you're going to select your gradient tool, which is right here, and you're going to go into your colors. The first color you want is a lighter blue, so you pick a lighter blue, and then your background color has got to be a darker blue, and then you would simply drag like this, and it would do it. See, this gradient has affected the whole area, which is not what we want to do. So you have to make sure when you make the gradient that you have it in this area, and then you'll go in with your eraser, which is up here, and you'll erase it from the rocks around the pond. You can see kind of in the thumbnail that I've done that, and it's this awkward shape, but it's the shape of the pond. You'll also want to take note that when I did this, I kept the gradient over top of certain areas, like this part of her dress and this part of her hand, so that it looks like it's submerged in water and not just floating. I also changed the settings to color burn and the opacity to 34 and the fill to 40. This is really important because if you look at how it looks when you have them all set really high, it looks really goofy. No one's going to believe that's real water. So what we're going to do is make sure that we have those settings, and then it looks a lot more realistic. Another thing that I wanted to add to make it a little more realistic is some lily pads. So I got an original picture of lily pads. The one she gave me I didn't really like. It was kind of grody. So I found my own picture of lily pads, and that's how it looks. It's going to look at the end. So what you're going to do is you're going to open your lily pad image, and you're going to use your free transform tools, which you get from going edit, free transform, and you're going to skew it so that its perspective looks like as if it was in the water. So it's going to be larger at the top, and it's going to narrow near the end, as you can see kind of in the thumbnail. And then you're going to use a mask to make sure that you have it on the edges as well, so that it's not just a square rectangular group of lily pads. That wouldn't happen in real life. And then to make sure that that looked like more realistic, water wouldn't be over top of the lily pads, so I added another light layer of water. And this water is on exclusion on opacity 100 and fill 100. Also to note, when you're doing the mask, you want to have it on lighten 39 and fill 100. It's just so it's not overpowering. I also added some cute little flair to the pond, and I did that in the form of adding fish. So I have all these little goldfish in the pond, and I got these goldfish from this stock image. I particularly like this